Welcome to Our Weird World. I'm your host, John Henson, and today we are continuing Serial Killer September. This month, looking at serial killers from all around the world, and today we're looking at 4 killers from the continent of Asia. Now, 2 of them are going to be from Japan. So listen, hang on. All right. I know I still feel bad about the Australia episodes. Both of them, honestly. The first one, I did the full accent, the whole episode. It was terrible. All right. I get it. The second one, I had Finn with me. Huge distraction. Cute, but you couldn't see that. All right. Huge distraction. I felt like it wasn't a great episode. I could re-record it, but meh, whatever. So I took a little time off. Took a couple weeks off because that's why I record ahead, so that if, I start to lose my groove, I can just take some time, re-energize, and get right back to it. And so that is what I have done. And we are back. And we're looking at the stories of Umesh Reddy, Hiroshi Maeue, something like that, Raman Raghav, and our first story of Miyuki Ishikawa.
Story time! Story time! Story time? Story time!
Miyuki Ishikawa was a director at the Kotobuki Maternity Hospital and did a lot of work as a midwife. Not much is known about her personal life because it's Japan and they don't really care about women. What we do know is that by the 1940s, in the middle of World War II, Miyuki was way in over her head at the hospital because there were too many babies being born to impoverished parents who weren't able to properly take care of them. And they're also probably under this pressure to make a ton of babies to replenish the quickly dying population of soldiers who were going off and dying in the war. So Miyuki, she sees this problem and she has no choice at this point. Like, she's just drowning in babies at this point. So she did what anyone should do or would do. She started a nonprofit gathering donations from people all over the world. It was truly a very unifying moment in World War II because you still had a lot of people in America, a lot of people in England, and a lot of the other allied powers actually donating money and food and supplies to Miyuki's nonprofit organization. And it eventually actually turned the Kotobuki Maternity Hospital into the leading maternity clinic in the world, which is incredible considering it was in Japan during World War II. Japan, part of the Axis powers, super terrible people, as we've covered on this show already. But just a really touching moment from Miyuki Ishikawa. Of course it's not true. No. Why would you believe that? All right. This is an episode about serial killers and you're going to just believe that some Japanese lady just started a nonprofit to save all the babies in a maternity hospital. No, you know what she did? She began neglecting a lot of those babies who eventually died under her watch. In all, at least 103 babies died in her care, probably more. The other nurses in the maternity ward even knew what Miyuki was doing, but instead of reporting her to authorities, they just quit their jobs. It's like, I can't handle this. I'm going to just go do something else. I'll go be a medic. I'll be a war nurse. It's less traumatizing than seeing this woman kill babies in the maternity ward. This is insane. On January 12th, 1948, 2 police officers they just came across 5 dead babies, which that's gotta be a weird time to be alive, right? In 1948, you're a Japanese person in 1948. World War II's going on and you lost. So like, you probably know a bunch of dudes who died. You had the atomic bombs dropped on you, which is nothing that no one had ever seen before. And then now somehow you survive all of that. And you're working as a police officer, and then you just come across 5 dead babies. And that's like, you're probably not even fazed by that. It's just like, oh, it's a dead baby. I'm sorry. You knew it was coming. It was coming at some point. All right. And I'm going to just get it out of the way early. But here's the thing. All right. Here's the thing. Some of you uptight whites out there, you're probably offended by that, and you shouldn't be, because you know what? A lot of Japanese words are just English words with like a Japanese accent. Like hamburger is like hamburger. Like that's how they say it over there. So when I'm impersonating a Japanese person, I'm not being racist. I am as I have always said before, I am trying to make the stories come alive. It's called storytelling. Just because I'm white doesn't matter. All right. You make it racist by then making it about race and assuming my, evil intent to do that, which is not true. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to have fun, but I'm also bringing the story to life. So when I am saying that these Japanese police officers come by and say, oh, it's a dead baby, like that's just probably what they said. And then they're like, oh, we better go and investigate. And that's it. And I'm just trying to bring the story to life. So I don't need your judgment. And anyway, I knew I was going to get real defensive, and it's coming in again. Anyway, don't worry about it. So these police officers, they find these dead babies, right? Autopsies revealed that they had been neglected, obviously, and police eventually connected the deaths to Miyuki and her husband, Takeshi. The two were then arrested 3 days later. So when they asked Miyuki and Takeshi about these murders, Miyuki insisted that the children had been deserted by their parents at the hospital and that the parents should be held accountable instead of her. The general public, who, if you know anything about Japanese history in the first half of the 1900s, was not a group to take a moral stance on anything. And they actually supported Miyuki's defense. They were like, yeah, screw them ladies for going to a hospital to have their babies and then leaving them in the care of someone else. That's bad parenting. All right. You're all Japanese. You should parent your baby by yourself. Don't go to the hospital to let a nurse take care of the baby. It's just, you don't do that. All right. So Japan, they're on the side of a serial baby murderer at this point. When police then found 40 more bodies at a mortician's house and then 30 more inside a temple, the public was like, ugh! Okay, maybe that's a 2-minute dead baby for us to support the Miyuki Ishikawa. So Miyuki loses all her public support, but because Japan is pretty much a terrible place, all right, don't let those big titty anime girls and Hello Kitty and Pokemon and their cute little eyeballs fool you. All right. Little giggly Japanese. Japan is a terrible place. All right. And here's the thing, for being responsible for the deaths of over 100 babies, Miyuki was only sentenced to 8 years in prison. And then her husband, Takeshi, and Dr. Shiro Nakayama, who had assisted Miyuki in falsifying the death certificates for all these dead babies, they were only given 4-year prison sentences. And then when Miyuki and Takeshi appealed their convictions, they had their sentences cut in half. So this hoe, Miyuki Ishikawa, served 4 years in a Japanese prison for killing over 100 babies. What a terrible place. Like, but it's so cute with the Hello Kitty. No, it's a terrible place. Never want to go there. Our next story here. In 1965, homeless people in Mumbai, India, started getting bludgeoned to death while they slept. Police quickly picked up a homeless man named Raman Raghav and took him in for questioning. Raghav had already spent 5 years in prison for robbery, but police didn't have enough evidence to really connect him with all of these murders, so they just let him go. Well, When more homeless people started getting murdered again 3 years later, police assumed it was Raghav and launched a massive manhunt around Mumbai for him. Now, unlike most stories involving serial killers and a manhunt, police actually found him pretty quickly and got him to confess. In all, he admitted to killing 41 people along the Central Railway in 1966, plus a dozen more just in Mumbai alone. Despite being beaten up and tortured by interrogators, Raghav refused to answer any other questions about the murders other than just that how many he had killed and where he had killed them. The only thing that got him to talk, though, was chicken curry. All right. Listen, Indian food, pretty solid. Stinks to high heaven, but it's pretty good. All right. However, listen, Charlotte's got a pretty big Indian population. And those people congregate, they stick with their own, right? And you ever go to an apartment complex that's full of Indian people around dinner time, smells terrible. Smells like hot dumpster juice out in that apartment because everybody's making their curry. And that's what this dude liked. He loved his chicken curry, right? Just, Mr. Raghav, we'd like to know more about the murders. I do not know anything about the murders. We got some chicken curry for you. Oh, boy, I love the chicken curry. Let me tell you all about the murder that I've been committing. I killed this man over here. I beat him in the head with a stick. And then I go over here. Oh, this is a very good curry. You did a very good and very spicy. What is spice level? Spice level 7. Oh, it's a very good spice level. Here, you get it. You get it. I don't get to bust out the Indian accent very often. But when I do, it's pretty good. All right, we don't have a lot of Indian stories on the show, unfortunately. Got to find some more. Anyway, you get it. Where we at? Chicken curry. I just wanted to do the curry bit. After eating his bowl of chicken curry, Raghav was happy to talk to anyone and answer any questions they had about the murders. He even took police all over Mumbai to show them where he operated and the rod that he had used to beat his victims to death. After a psychiatric evaluation concluded that he was completely sane, Raghav was sent to trial where he quickly pleaded guilty. Although his lawyers attempted to explain that he knew that he was killing people but didn't realize it was wrong, which, I mean, that's a mistake we've all made, right? Just like, Your Honor, I did kill him, but I didn't know that was wrong. Oh, man. Oh, that's a big oopsie on my part, man. I should have probably just read through all of the laws and statutes on the books before I go out and do anything. He cut me off in traffic, which, that's dangerous driving, reckless driving. I know that's wrong. All right. You get a ticket for that. I didn't know, Your Honor, that me getting out of my car and beating his face in with my baseball bat and killing him was a crime. Man. Oh, what a misunderstanding that was. You get it. So, Raghav declined the opportunity to appeal his death sentence, which is a great move. The judge even gave him one last chance at living by ordering the special medical board to interview him and make sure that he was absolutely 100% sane. And he was. After the interview, the board members tried to shake Raghav's hand. He's like, all right, thank you for the interview, Mr. Raghav. We have concluded, and we will announce our findings very later. Instead of shaking their hand, Raghav refused, saying that he was a representative of Kanun and, quote, would not touch people belonging to this wicked world. I don't know where Kanun is. It's probably some Hindu spiritual level of enlightenment of some sort. Anyway, I don't know. But that was enough. They thought, okay, no, maybe this dude actually is insane. So they reduced his sentence to life in prison and then died a few years later from renal failure. Our next story here is of Umesh Reddy, who was born in 1969 in a village in southern India. After being selected to the Central Reserve Police Force, which is the largest armed police force in India, Reddy was sent to the northern state of Jammu and Kashmir to guard a commandant's house. There, he tried to rape the commandant's daughter, failed, and was like, yeah, I'm out. And he just flees to another state in India. Once he settled into his new home, Reddy joined the District Armed Reserve, where background checks clearly weren't a requirement. Otherwise, they would have found this out. And once he was in place in his new job, he began patrolling neighborhoods looking for housewives who were alone at home. From there, he would go up, knock on the door, ask the woman for water, at which point he would brandish a knife, strip them naked, and rape them. Oftentimes during this, he would choke them unconscious and then just continue raping them. Once he was done, he then killed the women and took their jewelry. He would also take their underwear, which he would then just start using for his own. Which, look, say what you want about panty raiders, all right? But if you're going to wear them, that's just efficiency, all right? Because now you don't have to go buy underwear, all right? I buy underwear probably like twice a year, and it's a big inconvenience, all right? That's like $30 I could save if I just stole panties from someone else and wore them as, who cares if they're uncomfortable? I'm saving money. All right. Maybe I should do that. Probably not though. Anyway, in 1996, Reddy was arrested for the attempted rape of a high school girl after she identified him at a Republic Day parade a few weeks after the incident. Reddy was dismissed from the police force and charged with the murder of a 16-year-old girl he had killed after the other attempted rape that he had actually been identified for. The next year, as he was being transitioned to a different prison, Reddy managed to escape and quickly kill 4 people in 3 different cities. On July 7th, Reddy was arrested for stealing women's underwear, but escaped police custody less than a day later because, I don't know, maybe Indians just don't really believe in tight security. On February 28th, 1998, Reddy then raped and murdered 37-year-old Jayashri Subbiah. When her 8-year-old son then returned home from school, Reddy was just still raping her. Subbiah had already been dead for a while at this point, which, God, that's got to be a weird thing to come home to, right? You're just, I'm an 8-year-old boy coming home from school. And then he just opens the door and this dude's just like going to town on your dead mom. It feels like a very lighthearted way to describe a very serious and heinous situation. The boy, and here's the thing, the boy with that sort of like innocent curiosity that most children have, he just like opens the door, he sees Reddy just like banging his dead mom. And he's just like, what is going on? Who are you? What is happening? I don't know. I am an 8-year-old boy. I don't know what sex is at this point. And he's just like, he's just asking what's going on. Reddy then just like, I don't know if he like is just continuing to thrust or if he like gets off, just and comes out, and like just starts talking to the boy. Anyway, he explained that an evil spirit had gotten inside of his mother, which is accurate to some degree. And that Reddy had to tie her to the window grill in order to get the spirit out. And the boy was just like, probably just went along with it, because what else is an 8-year-old going to believe, right? Reddy then rushed out of the house, exclaiming that he needed to go get a doctor. And on the way to get that doctor, which you and I both know he wasn't actually going to get, Reddy stopped to rape another woman, which that's when you know you got a problem, all right? You've been caught for doing something wrong, and you are running away. You are running for your life. And as you are running away, you got to stop and rape someone else. And maybe just, I don't know, man, at least wait another day. Wait until the next day to get back to doing that. Not while you're trying to, anyway. I don't know. I can't follow the logic here. When this woman, however, fought back, Reddy tried to jump out of a window, but sprained his ankle in the process and was quickly subdued by several neighbors who turned him over to police. Well, guess what? After a year in jail, Reddy escaped for a 3rd time, but was arrested again before he could commit more rapes. So good job, India police. He spent 3 more years in prison before he was transferred to a different facility. When his transfer bus stopped at a roadside restaurant, Reddy told the guards that he needed to go pee. Without thinking, the guards uncuffed him, because why would he lie about this? And then Reddy, with his arms free, he just runs off into the woods. So he gets away again. On May 17th, 2002, Reddy traveled to Bangalore and went to a salon to get a fresh haircut. But when he walked in, a rickshaw driver recognized him from a wanted ad and called the police. By the time that Reddy was done with his haircut, police were on their way and eventually caught up with him. He quickly confessed, mainly because he was wearing one of his victim's bra and panties and had no real excuse for why. It was like, Mr. Reddy, are you wearing your victim's bra and panties? Yes, I am. Do you have an explanation? No, she gave them to me. She gave them to. Is this before or after you raped and murdered her? It was at the same time. I'm very sorry. Anyway, I'm just having fun with the voice. Reddy was tried on 20 different charges, but he was only convicted of 9 due to insufficient evidence. He was given the death penalty, which was immediately appealed and upheld and appealed and upheld and appealed again. He then filed another appeal, which then went before the Indian Supreme Court. And on November 4th, 2022, the Supreme Court commuted his death sentence to 30 years in prison. He'll probably die in prison anyway, because he's 60. He's 55 now. So, he'll be in his 80s when he gets out. Probably even if he still wants to rape, that probably not going to happen. Here's the thing. If you get raped by an 85-year-old man, you deserved it. All right. You can get away from that. You can overpower an 85-year-old man somehow, kick him anywhere. And just the bruising alone will render them completely immobile. All right. So it's probably fine. Our last story here is of Hiroshi. I can't say this dude's last name. It's Maeue. We're going to call him Hiroshi. All right. He was born on August 8th, 1968 in Osaka, Japan, but his story didn't really begin until he entered the Kanazawa Institute of Technology and tried to strangle one of his friends to death. Just a hard left turn already. He dropped out of school in 1988 and got a job where things seemed to initially go well. In 1995, he was arrested after he tried to assault and strangle one of his coworkers. He settled that out of court, but was fired because employers tend to frown upon strangling during work hours, at least. I look at my job right now, I could safely say that, if I strangled one of my coworkers, at the office, would probably get fired. All right. If I did it outside the office, on a weekend, who's going to know? All right. You probably get away with it. I'm not going to do that. I have to say that legally because maybe some coworkers are listening to this right now. In 2001, Hiroshi was arrested for trying to strangle 2 more women. This time he was sentenced to a year in prison, but was released early for good behavior. Almost immediately, as most of them do, he was arrested for trying to strangle a high school boy and was given another 1-year sentence. 4 years later, Hiroshi finally figured out how to strangle people properly and killed 3 people, ages 14, 21, and 25. Along with perfecting his strangling technique, Hiroshi realized that finding a random stranger on the street who wanted to be choked out was getting a little difficult, right? You got to really be in the mood to get strangled. And going up to people on the street, like you're that annoying gay fella who just yells at people and asks them questions for $1. It's not going to fly. It's hey, do you want to be choked? Most people, probably all of them, are going to say no. All right. But Hiroshi, he still wants to choke people. So he joined an online club where members met to commit suicide together because, Japan. Hiroshi then lured his victims over to his house, suggesting that they would kill themselves together by burning charcoal inside a sealed car, causing carbon monoxide poisoning. And if you didn't know that was a way to kill yourself, now you do. And look, I'm not saying that I'm going to go out and buy a whole bag of Kingsford right now, but maybe I just, open up a bag and, just kind of drift away to the sweet smell of a good steak on the grill. Who knows? It's not the worst way to kill yourself, right? It's not. That's pretty peaceful, right? I'm not going to do it, but I'm saying if I did, that's on the short list, all right? It's on the short list. Oh, man. Being a parent fundamentally changes a lot of things in how you think. Because, as I'm saying that, there's a voice in my head that's like, bro, your kid's going to listen to this one day. And, God, how are they going to respond? He knows I'm kidding. I'll still be here, probably. At least, I'll probably still be here unless something else. I'm not going to take myself out, all right? I can't speak for the rest of the universe, who's trying real hard lately. Been testing me real hard lately. Anyway, that's beside the point. None of you have any idea what I'm talking about. Let's finish the story. So Hiroshi, this episode, I said it was going to do better. This might be worse. So Hiroshi, like, he really wants to strangle people and kill them. He joins this online club for people who want to commit suicide, which, like, how do you keep that up and running? Do you just have like a long line of succession to where it's just like, oh, the head moderator's gone. It's my turn now. I will name you as my successor because I'm heading out in a couple weeks. Anyway, you get it. So he would lure them over to his house and he would be like, let us cure ourselves by taking a charcoal and getting in a car and burning the charcoal and we cure ourselves. Anyway, but when they got to Hiroshi's house, Hiroshi would just strangle them to death. And then to make things worse, choking someone to death gave Hiroshi a real strong boner. And strangling someone, he found, was the only way to get said boner. So that's what he did. Anytime he needed a boner, he would have to go and choke someone out. Well, after friends and family of one of Hiroshi's victims cared enough to ask police to look into their loved one's death, investigators finally figured out what was going on. They found the club. They found the correspondence. Hiroshi was arrested again and sentenced to death. His lawyers appealed the decision, claiming that Hiroshi's victims weren't technically murdered because they had come over to Hiroshi's house fully anticipating to die in some way. Which, again, some of these defense lawyers are just real terrible people. This defense, though, I kind of get it. Like, it's like, Your Honor, our defendant, he is not a guilty man. All of the victim, they come over want to be killed. They wanted to be killed. They are not to get murder. They want to be killed. How can you convict a client for something he was trying to do everyone a favor? It's so anyway, Hiroshi, despite this actually pretty good defense, Hiroshi accepted the court's ruling and he was hanged on July 28th, 2009. All right, serial killers from around the world, Asia edition in the books. I don't know. This whole month just feels like it's gone off the rails. So I don't know. We got one more chance to bring it home. Let's recap today and see what we learned.
What did we learn?
Number one, accent game, way stronger than the Australia episode, if I may. All right. Like, if I'm going to rank the accents that I do, all right, German might be number one. All right. German accent, real strong. All right. Japan, right there. Like, I've got the Axis powers down. All right. Germany, Japan, probably. Then a tie for third would be Australia if I'm in condition. If I've been practicing a lot, the Australian accent you got a couple weeks ago, not top three. All right. But I would probably still rank it number 3. And then the Indian accent coming in at strong number 4. Honestly, might even bump that up to number 3. I don't know. But yeah. And then from there, it's a crapshoot for the rest of them. Italy, not even really an accent. That's just an annoying stereotype. France, I can't do a French accent. We've seen that. My British accent is basically Australian. Haven't really developed a Scottish or Irish one yet. Haven't really perfected the Hispanic Spanish accent, Canadians in there somewhere. But yeah, anyway, I don't know why I just went through that whole list. You get it. Number 2, you probably don't. I've said you get it a ton this episode. You don't get it. Anyway, number 2. What's number 2? Miyuki Ishikawa served 4 years in prison for killing over 100 babies because Japan, the worst place. All right. The worst place. I don't know, man. I think they have done a lot to convince America that they're not that bad of a place, but it's right here. The history is right there. They're terrible people. All right. It's fine. We don't need sushi. We don't need hibachi. All right. They have not, like Pokemon. Oof. All right. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make if we just wipe Japan out of history forever. All right. But I'm just saying, a lot of terrible people in Japan's history. Well, John, what if we could say the same thing about U.S. history? You absolutely can. Absolutely. America, you know what? That's true. All right. You know what? I backed myself into a corner on this. Got to admit, Americans probably pound for pound worse than the Japanese. All right. It's like everything that we did with slaves, everything that we did to the Native Americans, everything that we've done all overseas. All right. You know what? You know what? You're right. You're right. Voice in my head. Americans are worse than the Japanese. I think, you know what? Let's just embrace it. All right. USA, number 1, worst people. Worst people of all time. We're number 1. USA. USA. I'm not even going to do number 3. That's it.
What did we learn?
Next week on Our Weird World, we are wrapping up Serial Killer September with the European edition. Got some serial killers from around Europe. We are looking at the stories of Donato Valencia, Colin Ireland, Peter Tobin, Manuel Blanco Romasanta, and Ladislav Hojer. Big episode next week to wrap up the month. So come back, please, for that. It's been a rough month, but we're coming to the end of it, and then it'll be on to spooky season. So thank you for continuing to listen. Keep telling all your friends, and keep it weird.
This is a podcast